Alright, hello folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Sweet Legacy stream. This stream is sponsored by KLM, who sent me a Living Wish Enchantress deck list. So we played Enchantress on stream just a day or two ago, and I've been playing a few off-camera streams with the deck as well. I have some thoughts that I think I'm just gonna put into either a mini article or a short YouTube video, just to get it out there and get it in the hands of various Enchantress people. But I'll kind of save that from later. The short version is that I'm experimenting with main deck Carpet of Flowers and Exploration as ways to help bridge the early game mana gap and to help you continue comboing off in the late game. Alright, so in case you're not familiar with Living Wish, you can get a creature or land from outside the game, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So we have 9 cards in the sideboard that we can wish for. Primarily, you're looking at getting 3 cards. You're usually looking at getting one of your Enchantresses, the Destiny Spinner, or the Serra Sanctum. But you have a handful of bullets for various matchups. Against Show and Tell, Sanctum Prelate on 3. Against Reanimator, Containment Priest. Against a small creature deck, it's another Doomwake Giant. You've made it to the end game and you finally need to kill your opponent? Well, it's Emrakul time. And then you just have a couple other things that have fringe amounts of utility as well. So the main deck looks kind of similar to things that I've been running, with the exception of Living Wish is taking the spots of things like the extra copies of Green Sun or Enchantress's Presence or Destiny Spinner. This deck list also has 2 new cards that Kale wanted to try out. Setessan Champion. Whenever an enchantment ETB, you put a counter on this and draw a card. And then Calix, which looks at the top 4 for an enchantment card, exiles a creature or enchantment, or replenishes for the -7. I have questions about the playability of this, and I kind of fear that this opens up a lot of cards that are dead against you in game 1. But I think that's fine. Like, the Destiny Spinners are already giving most removal cards a target in game 1 anyway when you don't have Sterling Grove out, so having a couple other things that can help take some of the hits for that is probably okay. So we lose some speed with this build by playing Living Wish, right? So if we compare Living Wish to Green Sun for a Destiny Spinner or Enchantress is 3 mana, paid out at one time, whereas Living Wish for one of those is 4 mana, which can be paid out in a single turn or over the course of 2 turns. So there's kind of a conceptual difference in the speed at which these cards work. But Living Wish can help bridge an awkward turn 2 if you don't really have another play, so I guess that's okay. Another thing that's in this deck list that I wasn't playing with before is Miri's Guile, just as a way to kind of help fix your draws, and it cycles later on just like everything else in this deck. Let's just kind of jump into it and play some games, see how this deck performs. I sadly have to admit that I've lost a decent number of play points playing Enchantress, which is not my expectation. Ooh, alright. We have an Ugin to put in chests. Or put in a trade binder, sorry. Hey, 50 play points. And let's put that Ugin in there before I forget. I regret none of the Enchantress streams, or sorry, Enchantress leagues that I did off camera. They were really fun and interesting. Except for the one that I played against Espervile, and my opponent just timed themselves out. That was pretty abysmal. My Enchantress leagues have been really fun. But I keep coming up just barely short in them. This is not a great hand. It's turn 1 Abundant Growth for a redraw, turn 2 Sterling Grove, getting Savannah, exposing me to Wasteland, or playing Forest and using Abundant Growth to cycle, followed by turn 3, get a card that matters when I have no gas left. I'm going to ship this 1. I would be fine with this on a 6, but I think I can do better on 7. I think this falls into the category of doing better on 7. I am going to need another land, but this is potentially a more broken hand. I don't have white early, so I'm kind of inclined to throw this back, but at the same time throwing back one of the 3-drops to give myself a better chance to double spell in some future turn is also totally reasonable. Sterling Grove Destiny Spinner is really good together. I think I have enough card draw with this hand that I don't need this. I'm going to keep my Sterling Grove. Hey, welcome. I can Living Wish for a land to like actually make my land drop, but that doesn't really actually put me into a winning position at all. I think I'm just gonna like hope to spike a land next turn and just put the Enchantress into play. It's gonna be hard for my opponent to answer it. Like they're gonna have a few counter spells. Yep, alright. Wildfire, thank you very much for your continued support. You're the first sub of the day. Working towards some person coming on the stream again yet. I haven't decided who. Alright, now we're in a similar position to the previous turn. I think I'm just going to go ahead and try to resolve a Destiny Spinner here. If we resolve this, then the future Enchantress's presence can't be countered. And if we don't hit a land drop next turn, we Living Wish for... Fuck! We Living Wish for a Serra Sanctum to make a land drop. Alright. Alright, I was going to say, like, third days, and I riot. I am going to go ahead and play this out. I am not expecting my opponent to be a Wasteland deck. I'm expecting my opponent to be probably like a Bug Oko deck. It's unclear how deep my opponent will be going. Some of these decks like play Urza. Some of them are like Oko Uro. How much do I want to get the Enchantress's presence down? Quite a bit. It's just super awkward that I don't have more green mana here. It's also slightly awkward that this Tarmogoyf is already a 5/6 since Destiny Spinner got countered, putting both an enchantment and a creature in the graveyard. I can... I can choose to take 5 damage to try to set myself up more for later. I think I do that. So now this resolves, giving me 3 mana, meaning that I can play the Enchantress's presence. Under normal circumstances, I would not play that Wild Growth, but this... Fuck, come on! It's all three of my critical spells so far have been countered. So I'm going to finish my thought. So with that Enchantress presence in play, I was going to have 6 mana, and 6 mana would have led to Enchantress's presence followed by Oblivion Ring next turn, or Oblivion Ring and Sterling Grove next turn. And I think that would have been very, very powerful given the board. I don't think they have Wasteland, but I don't know for sure, and I'm not willing to take that risk. Abrupt Decay is super awkward here. Yeah, if opponent could let me have nice things, that would be cool. I'll leave myself with 1 of each here. I think I need to play Sterling Grove first, so that my Oblivion Ring is protected from Abrupt Decay. It super sucks. Like, I don't have any card that matters here. My opponent gets to start making food. But assuming they don't play another threat here, then I O-ring the 1 card that matters on their board. Well, the card that matters the most. Sylvan Library still definitely matters, even if my opponent can't play more cards with it. Alright, never mind. So now that my opponent has 2 threats and I only get to answer 1 of them, and Leovold is terrifying, I might need to use my Sterling Grove. Like Sterling Grove, get Destiny Spinner, make Oblivion Ring uncounterable, get rid of Leovold, hope they can't answer the Destiny Spinner, then potentially use Destiny Spinner to use lands to block Tarmogoyf. I super don't like exposing this Oblivion Ring to Abrupt Decay. Yeah, Moat would be pretty spicy here. Let's just give our opponent a card for their trouble. And this is kind of a complaint about a lot of the off-camera leagues that I played. I played against Leovold so many times in the past 48 hours. Like, I played 3 Enchantress streams this weekend, and I kept running into things like Leovold that, like, prior to this week had been basically not points of the metagame. And then it was just all over the place. Destiny Spinner's so good. Alright, yep. So I was wrong about them having Wasteland. And now my Destiny Spinner can't effectively activate and create a land that's big enough to trade with Tarmogoyf. Like, I can create one, but it's a 4/4. So, like, Leovold picking up in presence is 100% a result of everyone jamming Uro into their blue. Fuck, come on. Into their blue-green decks. I don't think I'm going to animate a land. Well, my opponent's tapped out. No, they're not. They have a food. Could be like Fatal Push in here too. I should probably play around. Like, I'm just going to accept that I'm dead next turn. And have to have some crazy string of draws here in order to not be dead. I guess technically I should do this from big to small. Like, these aren't drawing me additional cards, so I don't know. I don't know what we're doing here. So I'm unclear if the Tarmogoyf is an outlier or not, but we should be treating our opponent like they're some sort of bug mid-range deck. Not expecting Astrolabe or Urza, given what I've seen thus far. Probably expecting Green Sun, though. So rest in peace. Well, I guess with a lot of these sideboard cards, I need to think whether or not I actually want to bring them in or whether or not I want to be able to Living Wish for them. Yeah, Leovold being incredible probably means that, like, I should shelve my idea that Enchantress is good. Like, in the 2 leagues that I played yesterday, I think I played against 5 different Leovold decks. It was demoralizing. So I want these carpets for sure. And then I need to decide, like, what is in the board for Living Wish. I feel like this is probably my Living Wish package. Well, like, plus those, which aren't normally going to come in. The Doomwake Giant seems fine. Oh, right. Yeah, sorry, thank you. The Doomwake Giant seems fine to clean up mana dorks. I don't know how I feel about this card. I can exile a Tarmogoyf, but if my opponent has any other pressure other than that, it's kind of bad. Maybe I'll keep it on the play, not on the draw. Elephant Grass is sort of awkward in that my opponent is fine waiting a long time and then, or just like paying 2 and whacking me for 5 with Tarmogoyf. Setessan Champion's probably slow and gets chump blocked. Another answer to Leo is reasonable. I think I'm going to cut this because I don't know what else to cut. think I'll trim an Abundant Growth, and maybe I'll trim the second one of these as well. Actually, no, I should trim one of these, because I have too many, like, 1-mana cards when I'm additionally bringing in Carpet of Flowers that I need to keep some extra payoff cards. Nope. Yes, but no. So I'm obligated under law to keep this hand, because I can't really expect better on 5. But I have 2 cards in hand. Hey, welcome. Helequa. Thank you very much for following. Hope you're ready for some Enchantress action. Gotten bullied quite a bit playing Enchantress the last couple of days. Hoping to buck that trend. No, that's not it. Alright, we have resolved a spell. It's entirely based around converted mana cost. The Mold of 5 followed by the mono land draws is pretty brutal. See, this is what I'm talking about. It's just been like multiple rounds of Leovold in a row. Alright, we're done with this one. Absolutely done with this one. Just like, let's move on. Let's use our time more efficiently elsewhere. So, just ignoring the sideboard. This is what I was mucking around with for my own off-stream leagues. I conceptually really like Exploration and Carpet of Flowers. They do very important things for this deck. So, as many times as possible, you want to have 3 mana on turn 2, because 3 mana on turn 2 lets you play Enchantress's Presence, or Green Sun for Destiny Spinner, or Enchantress, or play Enchantress plus play a 1-drop. And Exploration and Carpet of Flowers both give you a much greater chance of actually succeeding in that fact. And both are very, very good mid-game draws. No Enchantress effect here. I'd be leaning on Mary's Guile in order to do that. I'm going to ship this one, try to look for something with an Enchantress. Yeah. Opening hands have not been kind here. But, like, Mary's Guile finding a turn 2 Enchantress would be pretty big. I also don't really think that the combo matchups are that great when you're playing Enchantress. And having a decent amount of trouble with that. Like, to the point where I'm thinking about including ley lines in the sideboard. Sweet D&D action. You mean D&T action? I got some of that coming. Someone donated about a week ago for some D&T, but I just put it in the queue. I'll probably do the D&T stream once Ikoria is live so we can try out one of the weird new cards. These are pretty good. I think the current meta is pretty interesting. You have to be willing... Ooh, just snap resolves. You have to be willing to like give up playing certain decks. So if your pet deck is like bad against Oko, like you're gonna have a bad time right now. But if you're willing to like switch decks around and play some things that are good, I actually think the metagame is pretty interesting. People have to definitely adjust to the current nonsense, though. The last 4 or 5 days have seen a lot of change for Legacy. A lot more Uro, a lot more Leovold, a lot of blue decks trying to out mid-range each other. So this is a little tricky. I think I'm going to take the Enchantress's presence here. Well, actually, I could take the Forest and then draw the Enchantress's presence rather than shuffle away the extra land. I'm pretty likely to get a land between this turn and next turn, though. Yeah, let's take the extra 2 cards. People have been having a lot of success with Eldrazi recently, and just attempting to go under all of the nonsense that they're doing. It gets a little harder if people start going the, like, mana dork, play my Oko first sorts of strategies, because then you don't get as much time to, like, Thought-Knot Seer the Okos away and whatnot. If they just tap out for a sneak attack, that's okay, as long as they don't activate it. Unfortunately, Solitary Confinement is super bad against Emrakul. Fuck. Leave the Grizzlerand? Okay. Please don't find Petal or Spirit Guide? Alright, so... Carpet's okay. Not amazing. I'm probably going to end up playing it. Containment Priest is awkward because we're also a Green Sun deck, but probably worth playing. Cast Out's good. And this is going to be another one of those games where I'm going to have to think about the Living Wishes and how much stuff do I want in hand versus in play. So I think I want this stuff in, and I just leave the Emrakul as something to Living Wish for, because they can't really show until then unless they also have Omniscience. I think that's my plan. So we're going to board this Planeswalker out. I'm going to think about Elephant Grass. It, like, technically does things, but when they can pay 2 to attack you for 15 and annihilate 6 of the permanents, like, that's not the greatest. It's cool versus Grizzlebrand. I don't know if that's where I want to be. I'm not going to Solitary Confinement for Emrakul reasons. Could probably pretty safely trim some of this stuff and then, like, think about the Elephant Grass. I think a lot of the games where I'm going to win because my opponent casts Show and Tell, and I like. Oh, actually, the Doomwake Giant's really bad. I don't want that. Should probably put in an Enchantress or a Destiny Spinner over that. Actually, am I just wishing for Emrakul like basically 100% of the time? If so, I should just like board in this other Enchantress and just go down one random enchantment. I think my first Living Wish goes for this to make Show and Tell just a much, much, much harder line. And then my second Living Wish will usually get Sarah's Sanctum, so I still have a valid target in there. I'm not sure if Elephant Grass is good. It's like not good against Emrakul. It's okay against Grizzlebrand. Alright, I'm going to keep this hand. I don't think it's great, but we have one of our answers to a Show and Tell in hand, and I have the ability to make one of my card draw engines / threats uncounterable. So I think this is okay. Not good, but okay. Yeah, the Titan decks have been seeing a lot of success. I have Titan coming up on the stream sometime soonish. I think it's going to be this week. I haven't plotted that all out yet. Alright, do I want an extra mana next turn? Or do I want a card draw later? I think I want a card draw later. Because I don't really have much gas as of right now. So contrary to what I'm normally doing with this deck, I think not playing the mana acceleration is correct. Just in case you're not familiar with Enchantress lines, when you have two lands like this, you tap one, you Wild Growth target the other, and then you end up with the same amount of mana as you otherwise would have had. All right, we've still taken a trade here. Setessan Champion notably is out of Pyroclasm range initially. And that's something that my opponent might have to deal with my Enchantresses. I'm really worried that I missed the window on this deck being good. Because, like, I conceptually thought Enchantress was great as of a week or two ago, and I'm just getting around to actually playing it now. And now all this, like, Theobald and combo is popping up in response to Uro Oko shenanigans. Like, I 2-3'd 2 off-camera leagues with Enchantress last night. And it's really rare for me to 2-3 a league off camera. I don't mean that to like toot my own horn or anything. But just main phase intuition, huh? But I play better off stream than I do on stream by quite a bit. And so for me to like back to back not cash leagues with a deck that I thought was pretty good is a rarity. All right. So Abundant Growth actually does not produce mana; it just filters mana. So you can't play that out for free like we can with the others. Or take the same line as before, where I'm just going to save my draws for future turns. We have this cast out to try and deal with whatever my opponent show and tells in. Hopefully it's just like, well, I don't know what I want my opponent to put in. Like, if they put in Omniscience and their backup is just a creature, I end up really far ahead. But if they put in Omniscience and I use Cast Out and then they just Cunning Wish for something that answers that, life's bad. Okay. Let's start here, because I know I'm doing that. I can now take an Enchantress if I want it off Green Sun, and then play Abundant Growth for a couple of draws. Yeah, I don't know if they need to, like, Intuition again, or if they need to Impulse, or if they're trying to, like, wait and Show and Tell kill me in one go. That's a little unclear to me. So I think I'm going to use that mana. And this also may just get Destiny Spinner. Like, it'll make the cast out uncounterable if I want to hold it up in future turns. And it also just threatens a huge amount of pressure, especially if I can spike a Serra Sanctum. Yeah. Let's just take that, because we still get a card off the Setessan Champion. I'm a little worried about just dying. And Destiny Spinner plus Hold Up Cast Out leaves me a little bit safer. To future shenanigans. So I have 1, 2, 3. This is an enchantment? No, it is not an enchantment. I have 3 enchantments currently, so I'm only making 3 threes with Destiny Spinner. So right now, showing I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage next turn. And what am I doing with my life? So awkwardly, if I play Enchantress's Presence, I do not have the mana to also hold up Cast Out. Unless I spike one of 2 Serra Sanctums that are in the deck. And I can't deal 11 to my opponent this turn. So I have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 if I attack in with everything. So I can't prevent my opponent from tapping the Ancient Tomb. Yeah, I think I'm supposed to just attack and then try to kill my opponent next turn and hold up the cast out. So I think the only way that I lose, in all likelihood, involves sneak attack into activate. And I have the greatest chance of playing that around if I hold up uncounterable cast out. Alright, so I'm not going to put in the Cast Out here. I'm going to put in the Night of Autumn. I think it's pretty likely that my opponent is putting in an enchantment. Nice, okay. I think I like how we boarded. Elephant Grass is slightly more reasonable on the draw, I think. And, like, maybe due to, like, cast Sneak Attack activate in the same turn, I should be thinking about having some number of copies of that on the draw. Like, is Elephant Grass better than something like Abundant Growth? Unclear. I'm really unsure about whether or not Elephant Grass should be in the deck. Really, really unsure. Because there are these, like, fringe scenarios that I can concoct in my head where Elephant Grass does really cool things, and then there's so many other scenarios where it's just, like, pay 2, annihilate 6. Nah, I think Mindbreak Trap is too deep. Like, the scenarios where you do something really cool with Mindbreak Trap involve, like, Lotus Petal into Show and Tell, into put Omniscience in, into cast the big scary thing, and you Mindbreak Trap the big scary thing. But a lot of times, if they just go Show and Tell into big scary thing, your Mindbreak Trap whiffs. So, I don't know about that one. Okay, we have turn 2 Enchantress with a bunch of redraws. This is fine. It doesn't really have matchup-specific cards, but, like, we're trying to execute our primary game plan quickly, which is good. Hey, welcome. Hope you're ready for some hot Enchantress action. And we could even just Living Wish turn 2 now that we spiked that. I wonder what my opponent is thinking about here. I wonder if they're thinking about just jamming. Uh-oh. They're indeed thinking about just jamming. Alright, what gives me the greatest chance of winning? If I put in a land, I can have 2 mana after a Living Wish next turn, which is not super gonna do anything. Like, what can I beat? So what if they just put in Grizzlebrand? Like, they put in Grizzlebrand, I play Enchantress. I draw 3-ish cards on my turn and work towards trying to beat a Grizzlebrand over 3 turns. So The only difference between 3 and 4 mana next turn is for cast out, which would be an out to an Emrakul or Grizzlebrand. Whereas the Enchantress gives me a more redraws. Towards beating something else. I think I have to play towards beating their worst line, and their worst line here is just Grizzlebrand. No, we don't have Caracas on the sideboard, unfortunately. Yeah, I mess with my face when I go into the tank. Well, this deck frequently plays Caracas in the sideboard, but I don't particularly think Caracas is a great card in the meta right now. What are you going to do? Bounce their Uro? So this league is going just like all the other leagues that I played off camera went. I was playing with a different list, obviously, but in general, I kept getting paired against either Leovold or Combo, and every one that I won was just a slog. I mean, yeah, technically it answers Leovold. You give them a card, and then they recast it on their next turn. It's not a permanent answer. And I think that's a rather costly answer to Leovold. Like, it'd be different if, like, we could bounce Leovold and then just, like, go off and win the game. But that's, like, not usually the case with this deck, right? You're grinding advantage over time. We have no mana acceleration here. I'm exposed to Wasteland, and I don't have a turn 3 play for after I play the Enchantress. Unfortunately, this is a mulligan. I will have to keep this hand. We have a Destiny Spinner to make our stuff uncounterable. We get 1 redraw off of Abundant Growth. But our 5-card hand is potentially quite a bit worse than this. I'm going to keep this, just bin a fetch land. Words of Wind is kind of a bother to do online. I've liked the Words of Wind builds in the past. But I'm just not super thrilled with executing that online. I also think that if you're going to be playing a green-blue deck, you should not be playing Enchantress. Alright, so if we get dazed, I get punished for trying to take my redraw early instead of mana accelerating. Oh, I am. I like Enchantress a lot. I've played a decent amount of Enchantress in the past. It's not something I talk about a lot, because like almost all of my Enchantress play is off camera. Probably about 2 years ago now, I probably played like 5 leagues online with like Words of Wind, Blue Enchantress. Just like in a 48-hour period, just was super into it. One of the stream regulars, Dr. Bill, also plays Enchantress. So I've played around with his deck a little bit. His version of it is sweet. I think it's entirely German or like very, very, very close to it. Ooh. We need a lot of information from what gets imprinted on this. A Veil of Summer. Are we just going to get comboed out here? Ooh, no. We're playing against TES. So, like, we're playing against another combo deck, and my hand is not great against combo. Fucking Reverend Silence. Rude. I don't know if you're supposed to take that 2-for-1 there. Feels like they could have waited to me. Yeah. I think that between the time that I recorded my last podcast episode and the time that I'm going to record this one, the metagame has just totally changed. Like, I'm overstating this a little bit, but in any given round in a league right now, I expect to play against either Blue Mush or Combo. Oh, this deck's super, super fun. So we'll see how badly I get punished for my lines. If my opponent takes a non-deterministic Echo of Eon's hand, and I didn't play out like my Utopia Sprawls and Sarah Sanctum, I'll be in a worse position, assuming that I live. Luris is the best card from the set, full stop. What? What? Just cast Rite of Flame for no reason? Do you have an Infernal Tutor and like you need to get Hellbent for next turn? What's going on over there? I will do a stream or video later this week where I talk about some of that stuff. I think I need to put some cards into play in fear of Echo of Eons. So we will take... I can get by with this, so I don't need to take black, and I already have enough white. So we'll just be taking green with this. Why did I tap it like that? That was dumb. It doesn't matter, because like I'm going to save 2 of these cards anyway. Let's just make ourselves look like a real bad Enchantress player. No, I think Sprite Dragon is good, but not great. Like, it is a very powerful card, but if we look at the format right now, it's full of these blue-green mid-rangey decks that can gain a bunch of ancillary life. And I don't know that, like, fighting that with lightning bolts is correct. Alright, another Burning Wish. For Infernal Tutor. We're getting so lucky with timing here. I am not going to crack this fetch, even though I don't want to draw Bayou, because we're at 26 life right now. That's a lot. Our opponent gave us life off of Reverent Silence. Pass. The 80 card one is the one that blinks your stuff, right? I do not think that's good enough by Legacy standards. It also costs 1 billion mana. whereas the other broken ones cost 3. Like the 2 storm one, well, the 1 storm one that is going to fit both into A&T and TES both cost 3. And then the Basalt Monolith one costs, what, 4? No, that one also costs 3. And it's Gyruda that costs more. Tomorrow night I'm recording the next Eternal Glory podcast episode. So I'm going to do that, and then after I record that, I'll put together some individual thoughts on cards, preferably focusing on ones that we don't talk about in the podcast. I mean, I'm in for some jank with new cards. All right. Adnaz from 19 should kill me. But it's not guaranteed to. Especially if my opponent hits an Echo. I don't remember if their Echo is main deck or sideboard. Well, that's... We've got to be close, if not having me dead. I don't know how the math works out when I'm at 26 instead. I'm just going to go ahead and F6 here. So they use Petal, Opal, LED, LED. Dark Ritual. Yeah, I think a Tendrils is still just going to get me. I don't think we live the dream where my opponent makes goblins and I Elephant Grass them, and then Elephant Grass them like 3 turns later. Mono Red Prison is currently not in the queue. If you want to add it to the queue, the information is below the stream. $12 adds anything to the queue. If you are having trouble with Red Prison in the current metagame, I do recommend having 4 blasts in your sideboard. I was having a lot of success with that. My win rate was approximately 70%, maybe a touch below. Was going 4-1 in most of my leagues. Went 6-3 in my last super prelim with it. Yeah, Red Prison is not in the queue. I do have a Red-White Prison in the queue, though, that I believe splashes for Stoneforge Mystic. Alright, Mindbreak Trap. Good. Collector Oof is amazing. Sanctum Prelate is okay. It's better in this deck than in a lot of decks because I have a greater chance of playing it early. Yeah, if you remind me in between games, I'll pull up the Red-White Prison list and you can take a look at it. A lot of these things in my sideboard that are wish targets are good bullets for the matchup, but if I deploy them via Living Wish, they're really slow. So I think I'm going to board these in. I'm like super not thrilled with Rest in Peace. I might end up playing it though. I will end up playing the other Doomwake Giant for an additional out to Goblins. I might even just play this as an out to a Wishclaw Talisman that's played out ahead of time, and I'll think about that. Honestly, for speed reasons, this is probably a time where I just board out my Living Wishes and just like don't go that route. Board out the Calix, it's slow. Elephant Grass is interesting. It's good against goblins, sword, Doomoic giants. Maybe you don't need to find a Destiny Spinner super early on. Solitary Confinement's very good. I think I'm not going to play towards the Rest in Peace out for Echo of Eons. Maybe I can just get another Enchantress in there. Board down an Abundant Growth or an Elephant Grass or two. So this leaves me with a decent number of outs to goblins and at least enough interaction where I can pretend to be interactive. Unclear whether or not I should board in this Serra's Sanctum as well. It's very possible that I should over one Elephant Grass. Or one Abundant Growth. Again, like super unsure about that. Yes, this is fine. It is slightly awkward. I think I'm still just going to take green here, even though I have Solitary Confinement. Solitary Confinement's not something that I can throw down super early. No, I'll take the white and hedge. Because there are also things I can draw, like Night of Autumn, that I might want to have white for. No, not that. This. And we just want to cycle this Elephant Grass into, like, basically any other card right now. And this is why I kind of like the Elephant Grass is slightly awkward. It doesn't stick around. If I play it out ahead of time, it telegraphs that my opponent shouldn't be on goblins. Now, Plague Engineer has been rough. Not unbeatable, because, like, you still have Enchantress effects that aren't stapled to 0/1s. But there have definitely been a couple of spots where I've had two Enchantresses in play, and I thought, like, how can I possibly lose? And then, like, Plague Engineer into Lee of Old happened, and it was like, oh, that's how it can happen. That's how I can possibly lose. I would like to put another Enchantress effect into play prior to playing Solitary Confinement. And I think I'm just letting the Elephant Grass go. It's mana neutral if I keep it, but then I only have one green for my turn. And a lot of my better lines involve me drawing cheap green things. Oh! Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So we're definitely playing that this turn. But we play Destiny Spinner first because when I tap Serra's Sanctum for mana, I want to be able to have more of it. So Utopia Sprawl specifically enchants forests, so I'm not going to want to do that this turn. I mean, at the very least, it's worth trying out, right? Like, there's very little cost to trying out something like that. So, generally speaking, playing on Magic Online is basically free, right? So, assuming you're a decent player and you have a deck already, you're probably swimming in like play points, chests, tickets, that sort of stuff. So the cost of playing a league with an absolute crap deck is close to zero. So if you try out some deck building change and it just absolutely sucks, you go, okay, I learned something and I don't do that again. So like when I played the Chromox Enchantress build a couple days ago, we realized we had a few too many mana sources in there, and learning that was worth the cost of entry fee, right? Uh, Gnostic Raider, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. Oh yeah, and somebody told me that they resubbed via Prime, but I didn't get a notification for that. And that happens sometimes. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust the thing at the bottom there. Alright, so I have 2 enchantments. So I could just start crashing in already. Let me just confirm that. So fetching the non-basics is pretty free here. Outside of, I guess, a planes, because like Massacre is technically a thing that can occur. Alright, so I have 1, 2 enchantments. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I could just bash in for 7 here. Or I could vomit some permanents and then probably do the same thing. I guess this ends up being mana neutral and also draws me a card, so I should do it first. And then, yeah. So let's make a hasty Bayou. Next turn, I might just play Solitary Confinement. And then use it as just 2 time walks, discarding Windswept Heath plus whatever else I draw to kill my opponent. Alright, you Abrupticate the Oof. I smell a Mind Break trap that's gonna do some sweet things. Get him. Get him. Oh man, the last card. That feels pretty okay. Like a 6 for 1. I didn't count. But it was good. So we'll hopefully we draw a couple of enchantments here, and we can just like turn the Destiny Spinner thing into a real sized threat. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. I need 10 mana to be double attacking. I can try to cycle Solitary Confinement and just keep it for a couple of turns by discarding lands and still get an attack in. That's probably fine. Let's do that. We have some strong draws. But we should just have lethal via Destiny Spinner attacks at this point. So this is 7. And then next turn we'll just attack for 7 again and discard stuff to Solitary Confinement. I think opponent made a mistake there. I think they're supposed to cast Ponder and crack LED in response to it. Because that makes that allows them to take more lines involving either Ad Nauseam or Echo of Eons. I know Ad Nauseam from 4 is like super questionable, but it might be like one of the few outs. Yeah, Burning Wish for Reverent Silence is pretty good. That will keep them from being dead. Alright, opponent, you got your own sweet haymaker. But I am left with an Enchantress. I'm also left with the Destiny Spinner. Do we... So this is actually super interesting. I might not get the Destiny Spinner, since I don't have enchantments now. I can get either Setessan Champion, I've already used the Oof. I can also just get the Knight of Autumn, give it 4 power, and present lethal next turn. Which I think is what I'm doing. This gives them 1 draw to beat me. But I think giving them 1 draw to beat me is better than doing something like destroying this LED or getting Destiny Spinner, which isn't a guaranteed kill next turn. Adnaz from 4. Adnaz from 4. And we have to do that again now? Alright, on the draw, would I like to do anything differently? I still think the Living Wish stuff is a little questionable. I have enough white cards that the abundant growths are probably fine. My opponent is slightly more likely to goblins me when they're on the play. So maybe I shouldn't cut additional elephant grasses, even though it just, like, cycled poorly last game. Because the Doomwake Giants are slow in that regard. I think I'll submit it as is. Opponent might be slightly more likely to have extra discard now. Yes, this hand's great. So this hand is, well, I thought this hand was turn 2 Collector Oof, but my second land is Serra Sanctum. So that's slightly awkward. But, like, we have Mindbreak Trap and 2 effective Collector Oofs in hand. So it can't go back. So land is a good draw. An actual Enchantress is a good draw. Another 1 mana ramp card is not a bad draw. Again, to work towards potentially playing a white card like Sanctum Prelate next turn, I think I'm going to go ahead and play Utopia Sprawl over Wild Growth. And we'll see what we can do here. We're pretty unlikely to die through Mindbreak Trap this turn. Like, it can definitely happen. I don't super expect that my opponent is playing Veil. Like, I don't think you play Veil for just Mindbreak Trap. That seems questionable. And, like, they don't have black mana for discard to, like, check before going off. Oh. Oh, right, it's not Counter then Exile. It's not formatted like Force of Negation is. Let's see, so Wild Growth is Enchant Land, right? So I can... That was a very odd chain. I have some thoughts about that, but I'll keep it to myself. So I can Wild Growth, target Serra Sanctum, then tap this for 2 mana. Use that 2 mana to Utopia Sprawl. I guess let's Utopia Sprawl here now. Just name green with that. Best mind break trap ever. I would like to thank Mind Break Trap number 1 for winning game 2, and Mind Break Trap number 2 for winning game 3. And I think I want to leave the Adnaz in their deck as a draw. Since I'm about to Collector Oof, take them off 2 mana, like them drawing a 5-drop is terrible. This is not an enchantment, so it doesn't add to my count. And Legend Ruling this is super awkward due to how I've played in previous turns. No, I keep sideboarding the Calix out. I think I want to keep my Wild Growth around for enchantment count, so I don't necessarily think it's worth it to play the Serra Sanctum, lose Wild Growth and a Serra Sanctum to cast another 3-drop that turn. I think I can just wait a turn. Like, obviously I don't know definitively or anything, but that is my impression, is that I'm okay with waiting. So this is 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I get double spell here. So let's play Setessan Champion off of this. All right. We have gotten there. We are on the board with Enchantress now, which is super cool. Yeah, so like I would keep this in against like I think like slow blue controlling decks that don't have early pressure, but in what was it, round 1, our opponent had like Tarmogoyf and stuff too, and like ramp cards into Oko, and I don't think it was good there. So we sideboarded out Calix in every round so far. Yeah, Spatula, I think I largely agree with that. So this is a donation deck list. This is the first league that I've played with the Setessan champions. They do some interesting things. So like the Setessan champion is like ETB versus cast, which is really different. So it's like slightly worse against counterspells, but it also means that when you green sun for Destiny Spinner, you get to draw a card off of that, which is pretty hot. Oh, hello, closing your stream. Good luck. You too. Yeah, it's out of bolt range after 1 enchantment hits play, though, which is cool. I have an unimpressive hand here that I'm not, like, super stoked about. But I don't think I can throw it back. Like, we have Destiny Spinner and Enchantress in hand, plus a Living Wish to get whatever we might want for a specific matchup. I fear not your chalice. I have basically seen no Enchantress lists with On Thin Ice, for what it's worth. So the cool thing here is that, like, even if this Destiny Spinner gets forced, we have Living Wish for another one. So this Chalice is, like, probably doing close to nothing this game. So my turn 3 will be Enchantress's Presence, and then my turn 4 will be Living Wish for another Destiny Spinner. So in case you're not familiar with what my opponent is playing, my opponent is playing Erosa. It is a deck list championed in part by Brian Koval, one of the co-hosts of Eternal Glory, in addition to myself and Bryant Cook. It just plays all the nice broken cards. You get Urza, you get Uro, you get Oko. It's just a pile of good stuff. Karn as well. Oh, and who can forget Emery? That's a good hit for me. Like, the Baleful Strix is not castable yet on mana that's showing. Ooh, and my opponent has missed land drops now. Destiny Spinner this turn? I still don't have any 1-drops in hand. Just oof them first? Oh, I can respect that. Like, it shuts off the artifact, too? Yeah. Alright, I'm with it. I don't think they play Wasteland. I'm not 100%, and I'm too lazy to look at the deck list. MC Master J, I'm not going to say that I'm enjoying your suffering, but you know. This is pleasant. I think I'd probably take Destiny Spinner this turn, but it's slightly awkward because I don't have 1-drops yet still. Okay, there's a 1-drop. So now I can just go ahead and get Destiny Spinner. I could also just play, like, double Enchantress this turn to set up. Just play, like, Enchantress, Enchantress. Then Living Wish, Destiny Spinner later. And just, like, save the Destiny Spinner for next turn so that I know it does not get OHKO'd. Well, so the thing is that we need to put the Destiny Spinner in play before we cast the Miri's Guile. Like, there is a Chalice on one. Alright, that's not Oko mana. JK. It's Oko mana. No, it's Uro mana. Alright, I don't super care about that. Like, every turn that our Collector Oof is just, like, alive and stopping 2 of their mana sources, plus a lot of their shenanigans, I'm good with that. I don't think we need to play around Dead of Winter. I don't think that's in the deck. Let's see. So 2 mana Living Wish, 2 mana Deuter, 1 mana Elephant Grass or Mirri's Guile. Already play a land? No? No. Alright, I'm gonna draw a lot of cards then. Where's your Chalice now? I think this is next. And just put an Elephant Grass into play. I can pay for it super easily. Yeah. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I potentially am just working towards Living Wish Emrakul and just ending the game in that capacity. So maybe I just ignore Elephant Grass and try to get a little deeper into my deck. Yeah, like there's a Living Wish. So I think we just Emrakul next turn. Who would win? One Oof or one Merfolk Wizard? Who would win? One Elder Giant or one... It's just a human? That's unexciting. Thought we'd have some cool creature type. This isn't a Cavernous Souls deck, so I don't know the creature types of everything. Like, I don't know what Setessan champion is. I assume it's just a human. But I don't know. Let me double check my Emrakul math. I did. So, like, are we at 17? So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17? Yeah, seems like exactly. Oh yeah, this deck's super fun. That's fine. I think. Oh, I might have just double counted Serra Sanctum plus a land drop. But any enchantment I play is +1 mana, right? Or maybe +2 or 3 mana. So like I Wild Growth a land. That's mana neutral from most perspectives, but is +1 mana on each Serra Sanctum. So like I should be fine. So do they have one more artifact? Oh, they do. So you can you can Sorcerer Spyglass Destiny Spinner. But then Emrakul is still a major pain in the butt. Oblivion Ring's really good. Utopia Sprawl's really good. Alright. So we tap one of these for a green. We get some mana. Tap one of these for a green, get some mana. I could count all this out and like math out and do this super optimally. But I'm going to be honest with you, I don't want to. And now I just Oblivion Ring the Sorcerer Spyglass so I can attack with more critters next turn. I don't have a Caracas in this deck. Alright, what do we have for Erosa? Probably play Cast Out for the Planeswalkers. Carpet's borderline. I don't know that they actually have enough islands. Brian have a deck list up on his Twitter. I think he did. There are 4 islands in the deck list. No carpet. No, no. You're probably a wish target. You're probably a wish target. I have a lot of good wish targets that I might end up just boarding in. I might rest in peace for Emery shenanigans. Elephant Grass is probably not great against my opponent. They're not attacking until they have a huge construct, and once they do have a huge construct, the Elephant Grass doesn't super matter. Against fast decks, I try to only keep the best 2 wish targets on the board. Okay. So my best 2 wish targets are probably Oof and Destiny Spinner. So maybe that means I board this in. I don't know, like, turn 2 Oof as a green sun play is something I like a lot. I'm going to board that in. Then that leaves me with these as good wish targets. Let's junk that. Let's maybe junk an abundant growth and 1 elephant grass. I don't know, maybe I go harder on taking elephant grass out, and I just play more of a long game. I lose the ability to just stop some random elks, but I think a lot of times I'm just going to like outdraw my opponent if we get to the mid game. I think this hand's a little slow, but after my opponent has mulliganed, I'm not going to pitch this. So this hand is very good against counter spells and Chalice, and the real question is going to be, do I play Destiny Spinner or Enchantress on turn 2? It will be Destiny Spinner. So now we Destiny Spinner on 2 to make the Argothian Enchantress uncounterable on 3. And just hope our opponent doesn't do something super degenerate like Urza this turn, or Karn. Huh. Well. Now I need to find a green sun to green sun for Destiny Spinner. I should have potentially played fetch lands for the marginal thinning effect. If they're just curving into like Urza or Oko now, I'm so dead. Fuck. Yeah, I think I beat Chalice on 1 into Chalice on 2 in an incredibly small percentage of the time. But it's only on the draw that I need to worry about that. I'll take 1 more draw and then concede. This is so much pressure. Like, this is 6. Opponent will, like, animate a Mox Opal or a Seat next turn and be attacking me for almost lethal. Yay. Alright. I don't even know that O-Ring's good enough at this point. That was disgusting. Mad respect. A Chalice on 2 cuts off access to both Knight of Autumn and Destiny Spinner. I wonder if I should board in the Knight of Autumn to have more answers to Chalice. But I think it's pretty rare that my opponent is going to get to Chalice on 1, Chalice on 2 before I can put a Destiny Spinner into play. I think I'm good with this. I think I'm good with this. So this isn't a mana ramp card. I can't get to 2 mana on turn 2 for Destiny Spinner or Enchantress unless I spike a land. I'm going to ship this for something that's a little more playable. This is fine, but not good. We'll just bin a fetch land here. Says green sun for something on my turn. Or living wish for something. My opponent has no artifacts in play yet, so I'm not super incentivized to just like slam oof onto the board. I have 4 mana next turn. Next turn I can living wish for probably Destiny Spinner, and just put that into play, draw a card off Enchantress. So I should just play Enchantress this turn. And if opponent plays out a bunch of artifacts on this turn, then I... Okay. That's fine. I'm happy to see Brazen Borrower go. That card can be upsetting. So this can't bounce your lands like a Flicker Wisp can to knock all your enchantments off. But a lot of times you'll think you're safe hiding behind a Solitary Confinement or the green-white one that gives your stuff hexproof. And then you realize that you are not safe anymore. Sterling Grove. Druckus, I'm hoping to draw a whole bunch of cards. Alright, so there's a Chalice on 1. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana this turn. My nightmare scenarios involve my opponent going Ancient Tomb into Chalice on 2, so I probably need to play around that. I don't love that this exposes this to Oko. I don't love that I don't have an enchantment in my hand for either a Setessan champion or a whatchamacallit. But it kind of is what it is at this point. Hex. Okay, so this is an interesting turn. I can just get the Destiny Spinner to ignore the Chalice, or I can just go like full-on Setessan Champion plus Hexproof and try to aggro my opponent out. The Setessan Champion line is super bad if they Baleful Strix. Champion will play around the Plague Engineers that are in the sideboard. So there's... Assuming they're on this list or something similar to it, I have 2 Plague Engineers that I need to be cognizant of. God, why isn't that guy an enchantment? Alright, I like my plan less. There's also a world where I just take the Destiny Spinner here and make all my 1-drops good in the future. But I think this is pretty strong. I'm going to set a stop in my upkeep. I may get rid of Sterling Grove. I don't know if I'm supposed to get rid of the Sterling Grove. So, like, I can use it to get Destiny Spinner. Use this for Destiny, like, to fetch Destiny Spinner. Use this to cast Destiny Spinner. If I hit a land, I also get Enchantresses presence into play. I'm not under a lot of pressure, so, like, I can take time and hide. I think the same decision is afforded to me next turn. Yeah, I think next turn I'll get it. Oh, that's disgusting. Yeah. So I didn't play around Plague Engineer by keeping the other Enchantress because I have Enchantress's presence in play now. And when that's protected by Sterling Grove, I'm pretty darn safe. So as long as I don't get Plague Engineered this turn, I think I sack Sterling Grove to get a Destiny Spinner and then go wild. So I guess the reason to have Sterling Grove on the previous turn is to play around Chalice on X equals 2. Engineered Explosives for X equals 2. Yeah. That is not good. I think I'm dead. So I can cycle this Utopia Sprawl, and I think I need to, because I'm just dead to Mycos and Gladys on board. All right. Let's assume that this needs to answer the Karn. It's unfortunate that we're not answering the Chalice here, but we have other answers to that. Karn is the most immediate problem. So if I cycle this turn, I probably can't make another play other than another cycle. I think I'm still going to cycle it now. Yeah. So we have a real game of Magic here. but I would say that I am not favored. Chalice on 2 is terrifying. Another Karn is terrifying. And Oko's not terrifying, but it would put enough pressure on board where I'm definitely scared. Please don't be Chalice on 2. Please just be like another Urza, and you're just gonna like Legend Rule it for another construct. Okay, great. Great. We get a couple of turns to just like beat this. Thank you. Thank you, Destiny Spinner. You're here to save us. And I can try to trade a land for a construct, right? 1, 2, 3. Or no, I'll be bigger than a construct. We'll see what we draw, though. Technically, I should tap like this. Oh, collector oof, you say? All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can make a 5/5 and attack in, which is pretty threatening. But is that better than just playing collector oof? So Urza is the one that has the ability, right? So collector oof does not stop Urza. Because this is an activated ability of Urza? Question mark? Yeah. So if I crash in for 5 and my opponent doesn't block, which they probably don't, it puts them to 6. 1, 2. So I would need 10 mana to make double attack next turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't have double attacks next turn, so I probably can't present lethal next turn. But that doesn't mean it's not correct to swing anyway. Swinging makes their Ancient Tomb worse, and I should swing now while the constructs are still smaller. No, I don't think I'm presenting lethal next turn in basically any worlds, because like my opponent has 10 toughness right now that they can block with. Brazen Borrower? Ooh, no. Dead to Lattice Lock? Seems like I'm dead to Lattice Lock. Alright, yeah, so we can't activate the ability of this anymore. My opponent has like a billion power in play. GG's. All right, I'm going to take just a second and run to the restroom before the last match here. I will be right back. Alright, for anyone who has tuned in somewhat recently after the introduction, hi, my name is Phil Gallagher, I run ThrabenU. Today we are playing with Living Wish Enchantress, which is sometimes referred to as the Witch House. Unfortunately, we are currently 1 and 3. I've had some bad beats today and some rough pairings, but we've had some relatively interesting games. I'm under the suspicion that Enchantress is not a good deck to play anymore, unfortunately. The increase in combo, coupled with the increase in the presence of Leovold in the past 2 weeks, has sort of moved this from being like one of my sleeper picks for a really good deck in the format to something that's really struggling to just put up a positive result. This is going to be my 3rd league in a row that I don't end up positive with this deck. Which unfortunately means I'm probably going back to the drawing board. At the end of this stream, I'm going to talk a little bit more generally about some of the design choices that I'm making in like versions of Enchantress that I play. This one is a Living Wish build that was a donation deck list, but what I'm playing looks a little bit different. I have never liked Enlightened Tutor in Enchantress. So, like, Enlightened Tutor isn't an enchantment, so it doesn't cycle. It's not good the turn that you draw it. It sets you up for some weird blowout situations where your opponent can force you to shuffle your deck. With something like Surgical Extraction, Path to Exile, Predict, something like that. And most of the time, like if you're doing your thing at all, you're churning through your deck, and you just want to keep drawing more enchantments, and it doesn't super matter what you draw. You just need cards. Yeah, McMaster, good games. I don't know if you're following Brian Corval, but he has a Patreon specifically for that. Well, not specifically for that deck, but a Patreon that discusses that deck in detail. He's been up really good results with it. I'm on the player draw. I'm on the draw. Great YouTube video will be up tonight. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to keep this one. So this has access to a turn 3 Enchantress effect, while also having another tutor available. But I feel like this is just going to be a really slow and clunky hand. This hand also sucks. I think I have to keep this one. I think we're nowhere close to ready for Dimwake Giant. I'm really hoping to draw one of the 8 accelerators so that I can turn 2 this. Forest Hex Drinker, eh? The Elephant Grass will be quite good against that. So currently I have turn 2 Destiny Spinner. Alright. So my opponent is probably a Green Sun Toolbox deck. I've seen a couple of decks like this. So, really just want land. Like, Enchantress's presence plus an elephant grass is really strong. I guess luckily I have either Enchantress's Presence or Setessan Champion as 3-drop plays. So, like, I get to put a draw engine into play either way next turn. There's also worlds where my opponent just takes the Elephant Grass to, like, actually try and aggro me down. Wow, took Calix. I did not value that card highly. Ah! That's so not good. The Destiny Spinner helps to stabilize the ground. There's a lot of weird situational one-of sorts of things that I need to be thinking about that make, like, Enchantress's Presence versus Setessan Champion kind of interesting. I'm going to cast the Champion first. I know these can't be countered, but if I cast the Enchantress's Presence next turn, I'll get to put a counter on Setessan Champion, whereas this isn't an enchantment, so if I cast Enchantress's Present first, I don't get the card off of that. Cletus, I'm glad you're enjoying the content, and thank you very much for your continued support as well. Fucking again with this fucking Leovold shit. Ah. I'm not pleased. It's my second league in a row where it was 3 out of 5 Leovolds. And it was 2 out of 5 in the league before that as well. Alright. Alright. So now I don't get to draw additional cards. And I also only have 1 green mana a turn as of right now, and I can't do anything to fix that. So the plan is make Setessan Champion bigger than Leovold. At least my opponent can't really attack in yet. Did they miss an attack with Kitesail Freebooter on their previous turn, by the way? I wasn't super paying attention, but it seems like they did. No, I want to use my mana as efficiently as possible so that later I can double spell. Alright, I think we've lost this one. I can drag it on for another minute or so. Like, the elephant grass buys time, but, like, my opponent is just going to attack me for 6 twice, probably, and I'll be dead. Alright. Carver Flowers is very, very bad against Leovold. Doomwake Giant's probably very good against what my opponent is doing more generally. I need more answers to Leovold. Probably don't have too much for their deck, honestly. Containment Priest stops Green Sun, but not Fauna Shaman. No, Sterling Grove is kind of hard to play early. Yeah, that does not work the way you think it does. It is not an answer to Leovold. So the dream is Living Wish for Emrakul. And I probably want to leave Spinner in this in the sideboard for these. Have there been lists? Yes. Are those lists good? Alright, I think I'm just going to take in these 3 cards. This doesn't draw these, does it? No. Look at top 3. That's something that's helpful if a Leovold hits play. Although I don't super see myself using these for mana. Let's cut those and just trim an Abundant Growth and call that good. I don't love the Solitary Confinement because, like, my opponent's a toolbox deck and they can probably just tutor up something that kills it. By the way, food for thought while our opponent is making their mulligan decision. Who would you like to see on this stream? So my next sub goal that I have down there at the bottom is another guest stream. And very much open to ideas from the crowd about who you would like to see. I've already asked this for my subs on Discord, and they're going to have a louder voice, but very happy to take input from everyone. I've extended that offer in the past, but that was around Legacy Premier League time when we were both pretty busy. I had White Faces on once in the past. Would 100% do it again. It was super fun. We're playing against Bug Green Sun. Wow, there's vials in there. I was not expecting that. Okay, so what am I doing this turn? I probably have 4 mana. I can just Living Wish for an Enchantress. I can Green Sun for an Enchantress. Green Sun for Destiny Spinner if I wanted, but I think I need card draw with how this hand is looking. Getting Setessan Champion this turn is interesting, but my opponent has Fatal Push, so I probably don't want to do that. If I Green Sun for Enchantress, I can then get a draw off of Utopia Sprawl, which I will take. If we get pierced again, it's awkward. Alright, I'll save this Utopia Sprawl for later. My opponent has one card, and I have another Haymaker. So, like, next turn I do the same line, basically. Or, like, I'll play Sarah Sanctum, Living Wish for Deuter. Wow, that's aggressive. I'm not being that greedy. I'm also not being that greedy. Excuse me. All right, we're in a pretty good position. I'm not sure if I'll Oblivion Ring the Ether Vial. Like, I'd much rather just have this around as a safety net for Leovold. My opponent's pretty far away from, like, Green Sun or Fano Shaman for Leovold. But it's something I have to be cognizant of. Vendilion Click? Just actual factual Vendilion Click. Cool. I guess that, like, has to take my O-Ring now. Opponent definitely won out on that exchange. Alright. Key to being good with Enchantress is not drawing a billion lands. Jeez. That's awkward. And now if my opponent takes this up to 3, they can have instant speed Ether Vial. For Leovold, which is some shit. Because I won't know. Ninjutsu? Oh, sorry, Elephant Grass. Sorry, I got excited. Alright. That's fine. Thank you. I do need the luck. Fuck all these lands! I don't know. Like, when my opponent has a 3-1 in play, I'm not sure that life thinning is more relevant than my life total. And I'm expecting more pressure this turn. I'm going to opt with not thinning. Yeah, I think thinning ends up changing the clock here. Potentially. It depends on, like, what my opponent does in regard to their Hex Drinker. You know those times where you have, like, everything set up and all you have to do is just start chaining stuff together? We're at that point. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 mana. So even just getting a Destiny Spinner as a draw potentially presents lethal very quickly. Okay, so I'm going to take 8 here, and then draw a land and die. Yeah, so they level up Hex Drinker, or no, it's not technically dead. It would be dead to Ancient Tomb to level it twice, then it gets protection from everything. I have to chump block with an Enchantress. Oh, wait, hold on. This is 4. This is 3. This is 7. Let me count mana. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 potentially. So I can't Living Wish and Emrakul. Do I need these fetch lands? Or do I just need more draws? I essentially need Solitary Confinement. No blocks. Alright, that is a very good draw. Protection from everything is some shit. We're going to need to get a little lucky here. I think I tap the Serra Sanctum now rather than later. Like, green is going to be a limiting factor in this. I'm going to keep 1 extra white, though. So, a handful of lands means that I just kill Hex Drinker via triggers. But whiffing is very, very, very possible. Ooh, it doesn't look like I'm going to whiff. So now I just care about the end of turn creature off of Ether Vial, which I may or may not be able to stop. Oh my god. I was so convinced that I was dead. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. That feels like an early concession to me. Like, I'm still very possibly dead to, like, an end-of-turn flyer off a Vial, but, like, maybe if my opponent doesn't have another flyer, then any of their 3-drops don't actually get through the Doomwake Giant. So now that I know my opponent has Vial, do I want to board in either Oof or Knight of Autumn? Both are kind of awkward draws. If I actually draw them, they're not going to cycle. Knight, I guess, is just a 4-3 at worst. Maybe that's fine. I've already boarded in Containment Priest, though, which also hits Vial in a slightly different way. Maybe I just flip-flop. Like, I haven't actually seen the green sun that I'm expecting from my opponent. Like, it may just be that they are a bug Vial deck, rather than a bug green sun Vial deck. Like, running green sun and Vial and Forces probably would leave you thin-ish unplayables. Yeah, let's bring in the Knight as a tutorable answer to Ether Vial, or just a tutorable life gain chumper or decent sized body that can trade with something. And see what we can do from there. I could probably do better than this hand. This is just turn 2 Destiny Spinner. I have no Enchantress effect. I don't get enough mana to early Calix. I would need to hit another land to turn 3 Calix, which would be okay. But probably not insane. I think I really want Mana Ramp against this deck. Like, neither of these cards is playable, so, like, we're looking at this as our opener. This is better. Still slightly awkward. I think I'm supposed to pitch either Calix or the Elephant Grass here. Elephant Grass is kind of something I want in the mid-game rather than the early game. So I'm going to pitch the Elephant Grass. I don't want to go down to just one primary card that matters in this matchup. Because if this gets, like, countered, thought seized, whatever, my life would just be super awkward. So it looks like opponent is doing an end of turn brainstorm here, probably just to fix their next couple of turns. My opponent's kind of a tap out deck, so they're often not going to have the luxury of just holding up their mana. Oh, brainstorm locked. Nice. I don't need to show Serra Sanctum this turn. I just Wild Growth into Utopia Sprawl. I'm sorry, I just Enchantress into Utopia Sprawl. Okay, cool. So we have 1, 2, 3, I can play Calix next turn around a Spell Pierce effect if I play Utopia Sprawl this turn. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Dude, I feel so smart. So now our Calix has a much better chance of resolving. Alright. Dude, deck. I get this big fancy Planeswalker into play, and you won't even spit up an enchantment? Come on! Like, I can't complain because opponent is, like, very clearly Brainstorm locked, but... It be like this sometimes. It sure does. We can cast our Oblivion Ring to draw a card. Nothing can go wrong, right? What do you mean I have to exile something? Exile Underground Sea. Seems great. There's no judges on Magic Online, so what can they even do if I do that, right? Nothing. Got them. I wonder what the Calix math looks like in this build. So, like, we whiffed the first time. And we do have a decent amount of things, like the Green Suns and the Setessan's champions that can't actually be found with Calix. I wonder how good this actually is. This is the first time we've cast it, and we've boarded it out, I think, almost every other round. So this is, these aren't. Okay, I guess it's not so bad. It's a little different in post-sideboard games. So we only have 11 sorry, the lands as well. A lot of these are formatted where it's like land or thingy. This is just enchantment card. So when I keep that in mind, we actually have 31 misses, which is over half of our deck. We only have to hit one out of those 5 times. I don't know. I could whip out the hypergeometric calculator, but I don't think it's worth it. But like Calix isn't always going to hit. I'm trying to figure out if my opponent is like typing something to me or what. %93 chance? Okay. I knew it was going to be a high percent. But you are going to occasionally miss like we did. And it's a non-0%, right? Like a 7% chance to miss is still pretty relevant. So like it's never going to be exactly that because like You're going to have taken a few lands out of your deck with fetch lands or something like that, but like, and like the Calix doesn't count itself. But roughly that's what you're looking at. Opponent accidentally shut off the power strip under their desk. One-landers with Brainstorm are always so tempting, but they never seem to work out. Anyways, GG's. GG's. Alright, let's resort this. So that is the third Enchantress League in a row that I have gone 2-3. And I think I went 3-2 in the one that I played on stream the other day. I don't remember. If I went 2-3 in that one, then it's the fourth one in a row. I legitimately don't remember. I don't feel like Enchantress is in a great place right now. As much as I want it to be. The presence of Leovold in 6 of the last 10 matches that I've played, or 8 of the last 15 that I've played, has made my life rough, especially when some of those decks are Green Sun decks that can find it, or are like Ponder Brainstorm decks that can find it consistently. And in our last round, our opponent also had Fauna Shaman to find it. Not being able to just draw cards and churn through my deck very much hurt me. I don't know whether or not I prefer the Living Wish or non-Living Wish versions. Having only played a few leagues recently, like I think I'm on 5 Enchantress leagues in the last week, I don't think I have enough data to say anything definitively. Living Wish didn't exactly feel insane today, but it felt good. Certainly as good as Green Sun would have felt in most scenarios. Although it made some of my sideboarding a little bit weird. So let's look at what I was playing previously. So for folks who are going to watch this later on YouTube, I'm going to cut this into 2 different videos here because I just want to post a little mini like Enchantress thoughts monologue